Welcome, my name's Charlie, and we're going to go through the automations in Monday.com. I'm going to do a few examples going from beginner, intermediate, all the way to advanced. So let's get started. All right, so to start out, most people just see the automation center up here on each board, and that's definitely the first place you should go to whenever you're trying to think of an automation to set up and get something done. Within the automation center, you can come in and create either anything you want by scratch using this create from scratch here. There's also all these other categories over here that are just recipes that you can select from. So if we go ahead and click on AI powered, you can see there's all these different recipes here that are pre-made. And then you can see all these other recommendations that may be integrations with other platforms or tools or something you're using like Gmail, Google, Outlook, things like that. You have one specific to dates and so on. So let's go to create from scratch to start our first one out. So a really common thing in Monday you'll see is basing automation trigger. So this is the first thing. It's called a trigger, and then you have your action or outcome that you're looking to have after that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is identify your trigger. And in a trigger, most of the time, or a large majority of triggers are based on maybe a date or some kind of a status change. So status change, since it's the most common one, we're going to start out with that. And oftentimes it's whenever a status changes, you're going to set a date or you're going to notify somebody. So we could say when the status is done, then go ahead and notify. And then you can come in here and you could say, hello. And then if it's assigned to somebody and you have a column for designating an individual, you can choose them in here. So like a person column, and then put the message item name. So all these different fields down here are actually the dynamic fields within the Monday board. So if you choose the item name here, it's going to be the item name of the item in the board. So we're saying hello, the person that's assigned to the actual item or the task, whatever it is, the item or the task name is done. And then just thanks. So then they'll get a notification via email. And then when it comes in the email, actually have a link to that item. And then you'll click on someone, and then you could choose the people column again. So whoever it's assigned to will get notified, and then create automation. So that's probably the simplest automation you can do. And then if you go up to the top right corner here, we can do the same thing again, but then we could put some type of uh, stipulation on it or some type of identifier. So like if we wanted to change a status, so say we want to do the same thing again when status changes to done, but we wanted to have a condition. So if you click the plus sign here, you can add a condition, and then you've got, a little bit more of a limited selection here. So you could say if a column's empty, another status is something, a dropdown meets a condition, if it's assigned to a specific person. So for this case, we'll just say a different status is something. So only if the payment status is, so you could do is or is not, is paid. And then we could do the same thing we did again. We could say notify, and then we could write our hello person. This item is done and paid. Thanks. Click done, and then make sure that the person that is assigned to this item or task knows, and then create the automation. So that's it for pretty much the basics. If we want to go in and edit the automations, you can go through your list here, just click on it. And then if you click on the three dots here, you can click on edit, set an importance level, duplicate it, save it as a template. So if you're going to be remaking this a whole bunch of times, it's nice to have a template. And then duplicating is something I do often, but you got to make sure the person who's setting up these automations is going to stick around, because and the administrative rights, you can actually change in there who owns what automations. So because if somebody leaves the company and they own all the automations, and then you deactivate them, it deactivates their automation. So you want to make sure that they're continuously running, so somebody who knows always going to be on the account is owning the automations. So anyways, we'll click back into the one we were doing before. So then you could keep adding notifications if you wanted to, and keep adding conditions. So I could click the plus sign, add another condition, click the plus sign, notify another person. I could set a date. So I could say, when the status is done and payment is paid, notify this individual, and then set the completed date to today, and then click update automation. So that's kind of the gist of how to do automations for the create from scratch. All right, so let's take a look at some of the pre-made stuff that I showed you over here in these categories. I think that what's overlooked and like something that's not maybe well understood in Monday is a lot of these different categories have specific templates that you can only find in here that you can't create from scratch. So a good example is when all sub items of an item have the status of something, change the item status of something to something. So basically, like all of your sub items, if they have complete or done, it would then change the parent item status to done, so that you could maybe even trigger another automation of some kind. So stuff like this, like these different pre-made templates, you can only find if you go through this list on the left here. So if you can't get the automation done when you create from scratch, don't be afraid to just search here and say like sub items. Maybe there's a specific sub item template that's already created, or there's an app that somebody already created for it. Or you can go in here. Like another one that I do a lot is using the matching one. So like when an item on one board matches on another board based on a specific column, connect them with like connect board columns. So like this, like I showed you before, is a specific template. See, this is a pre-built template that you can only find this way. So don't be afraid to search or click through these things on the left here to find something that maybe you can't do from just the regular creating of a, like a custom automation. All right, so now we're going to do what's called advanced workflows in Monday. So if you click the plus sign here and then click workflows, we're going to create a new workflow. You can make it main or private, name it whatever you like. So these workflows are only in the Pro plan and Enterprise. I think as of the taping of this video, Pro gets 5 active at one time, and then I think it's over 100 active at a time. So this is going to look very similar to, say, like Zapier or like a Make.com flow or N8N flow, if you're familiar with those automation softwares. And it's going to start out with just like the custom automations I showed you before on the automation center. It's going to come out, start with a trigger. And again, a lot of times starting with the status is pretty typical, or like a date. So we're going to choose the status of this production demo is going to add an item to another board. So what's great about these advanced workflows is you can intermingle data across different boards, and then you also have a lot more options for using like the AI sidekick or using if then statements and things like that. So let's take the production demo board we were working on, and we're going to choose the payment status. And we're going to say when the payment status is request payment, we're going to have it then add an item to the finance board. And we're going to add it to the vendor payments group. And we're going to say the text is going to be the item name from the original item. So this is the original item from step 1. As you can see, it gets highlighted. So if you click on that, then you can then pre-fill out all the columns on the finance board. So this is going to be the person column on the finance board. So we're going to just give it to Rick. And then the status, you could say working on it. And then payment status, we're going to put payment requested. And then the due date is going to be the due date from the previous item from before. And then we're going to put account owned, nothing for that. And then we just click the X button here and then publish flow. And this is like just a more basic example, but this is something you could do with the dance workflows, like integrating the two boards. So if I go to production demo and then I go to payments, request payments. So now it should say that the automation advanced workflow is running down here. And then if I go over to the finance board, vendor payments, as you can see, it's now added the item, and it added the, instead of the item name, it looks like it added the item ID here. So I'll have to fix that for next time, but it should add the actual item name here for the advanced workflow. All right, let's make this workflow a little bit more interesting. So if you go over to the workflow and click edit workflow, first of all, let's fix the ID name that I put wrong first. So if you go to the create item and then item ID, you can see all the different options that you have. So if you scroll down and go to the item, you can see the list of all your options. Click name, and then you're going to want to come in here and delete the ID. If you click the little X there. All right, so that should be all good. And then we're going to now add an if-then statement for a notification. So we're going to add the plus sign here. Now you can see you can create a delay, wait for another event, action, if. So actually, yeah, let's put a little delay on here. So we'll say delay, let's say 3 days, and it'll notify them at 10 o'clock Eastern time, United States. And then after 3 days, if the status, we're going to say if the status of the original item is still, we're going to say the original status is still stuck, or no, let's go with payment. We'll go with payment overdue. Then we're going to notify somebody. So then we're going to put press the plus sign here, click action, and then we're going to do notify. But as you can see, there's plenty of options for notifications here. So you could notify via Microsoft Teams, Slack, just Monday. And then you could say in the title, you could use the dynamic values again here. So you could say for the item ID, let's go with the item name again, item name overdue. And then you could say hello, and we'll go with the owner again of that. So in step 2, we have, now we'll do in step 1, we'll have the person here, and you got email. We don't want that. We want name. So that individual that owns it, hello. And then we'll get the actual item name this time instead of the item ID. So see, as you can see, this could be a little tricky having to sort through all these. Actually, it's very, very reminiscent of like make.com, looking through all the bundles. So you can say the item name is overdue. Thanks. And then the recipient will go with the person, the owner. And then when someone clicks this notification, it goes to the item that's overdue. Otherwise, we could have them go to somewhere else, but you could see plenty of options and things you can change in this. And if you click the 3 dots here, you can change it or delete it. And then you can also change the if-then statements here. You can add another step in here if you wanted to. So we're going to come over here, and then for the no, if the status isn't overdue, then we can just have it be nothing, or we could do another action of some kind. But as you can see, you can make these different workflows pretty intricate, and you can also integrate it with a lot of your different other tools and softwares. So if you scroll through here, you could see there's sidekicks, like Monday's like AI sidekick. You could see custom prompts. These are all AI here. And then you can just change different kinds of columns, extract data from columns, assign different people, use a lot of the different tools like Outlook, Calendly, kind of the sky's the limit. And like I said before, you only have 5 of these on Pro, and then you have, I think, maybe 100 or so. Don't quote me on that, 100 or so on the Enterprise. But anyways, if you're looking to make some more workflows like this or custom automations and you're looking for some help, feel free to reach out to me. All my contact info is in the description below. And thanks for watching.